The first thing anyone heard was the slap of paper against wood. Ms. Parker dropped the ungraded assignment log onto her desk so hard that every conversation in the classroom died mid-sentence. Her eyes locked on one student in the second row, the quiet black boy who always sat close to a window, headphones around his neck, sketchbook half hidden under his notebook. Eli Robinson, stay after class. We're done playing this game. Chairs squeaked. Heads turned. Eli's pencil froze in midair. He looked up slowly, confusion flickering across his calm features. He hadn't spoken all period. He rarely did. What Miss Parker didn't know was that the student she was tearing down in front of everyone was hours away from being lifted up in front of the entire nation.
Before we continue, if you believe that people deserve to be heard before they're judged, and you want more powerful, eye-opening stories like this, go ahead and subscribe to Black Justice and stay with us to the end of this narration. It helps the channel grow and keeps these stories alive. Like, comment, and share this video so you never miss the next one. Your support helps us keep telling stories that matter. Now back to the story.
The lesson dragged on, but nobody was listening now. Not really. A few students stole glances at Eli. He stared at his notebook, jaw clenched but shoulders relaxed, as if he'd already learned that silence was safer than defending himself. The bell finally rang. Class dismissed, Miss Parker said. Then, sharper, Eli, wait here. The room emptied in a flurry of zippers, laughter, and whispers. Man, what did you do? One boy muttered as he passed Eli's desk. Eli just gave a small shrug, more to himself than anyone else. The door clicked shut. The room felt bigger and smaller at the same time. Ms. Parker folded her arms. Explain to me, she said, every word clipped, why you decided you don't have to follow directions. Eli blinked. I turned in the project, Ms. Parker. She laughed once, not with humor, but with disbelief. There is no project from you. I checked the tray. I checked my folder. Nothing. You've had 3 weeks. His voice was soft, steady. I emailed it to you Sunday night. The file was too big to print here, so I sent the link like the instructions said. Her tone sharpened. Don't lie to me, Eli. I'm not one of your friends in the hallway. I'm not lying, he said quietly. I can show you. Each word made the room smaller. He reached into his backpack, pulling out his tablet, fingers moving to open his email. She held up a hand like a stop sign. I don't need your excuses or your technology. I need respect. And you made it clear you don't respect my time or this class. He swallowed. Ms. Parker, you never answer my emails. I sent 3. I worked every night. Enough, she snapped. I'm writing you up for insubordination and failure to submit work. You'll be suspended for the rest of the day and tomorrow. Maybe then you'll understand that in this classroom, effort matters. He didn't raise his voice. He raised the truth. I did put in the effort, he said softly. You just never looked. Her pen froze for a split second, but then she kept writing, pressing harder into the form than necessary. Go to the office. They'll call your guardian. Eli took the slip with careful fingers. For a moment, their eyes met, hers blazing with irritation, his filled with something quieter and heavier, disappointment. He turned and walked out. The door shut with a dull, final thud. In the hallway, the buzz of other classes felt distant, like sound underwater. Lockers clanged, footsteps echoed. Someone laughed too loudly near the stairs. Eli's heart pounded, but his face stayed calm, a practice calm, the kind that comes from learning to keep your storm on the inside. He pulled out his phone and checked the sent folder again. There it was. Subject, final project submission, search and rescue prototype timestamped. Sunday, 10:42 p.m. recipient. Sparker at ridgeview.edu. Underneath was a polite message. Good evening, Ms. Parker. Here is the link to my project. The file was too large to attach. Please let me know if there are any issues opening it. Thank you, Eli. At the bottom sat his heart. The link to the demo video he'd filmed in his grandmother's garage. showing his creation, a small device designed to help locate survivors in collapsed buildings using layered sound waves and basic AI pattern detection. He stared at the email for a long second. So it hadn't vanished. It just hadn't been seen. Down at the front office, the secretary sighed when she saw the slip. "Eli again," she murmured. He gave a small, tired smile. "I guess so." She shook her head, picked up the phone, and dialed. While he waited, his phone buzzed in his pocket. An unknown number. He stepped aside and answered. "Hello." "Hi, is this Eli Robinson?" a bright voice asked. "I'm calling from National Youth Innovations. You submitted a project to our competition, the Search and Rescue Prototype." His heart jumped. "Yes, that's mine." "Wonderful. Eli, your project was selected as one of our finalists. We're featuring you on tonight's national broadcast segment. We've been trying to confirm details. Are you available for a short interview this afternoon?" Silence stretched, not because he didn't know what to say, because the timing felt unreal. Yes, he finally replied. I can be. Great. We'll send a car to pick you up from your residence in about an hour. Congratulations, Eli. The judges were incredibly impressed with your work. The call ended. He stared at his reflection in the office window. The quiet kid, the problem, the non-compliant student. Suddenly becoming the face of innovation for thousands to see. Upstairs, in the teacher's lounge, Miss Parker stirred sugar into her coffee as she vented to a colleague. "These kids think they can turn in things whenever they feel like it," she said. "Eli didn't submit anything, and then try to argue with me. Always quiet, always drawing, never really present. I finally had enough." Mr. Daniels, the physics teacher, frowned thoughtfully. "Are you sure he didn't submit?" he asked. "He emailed me last night asking if he got his project okay." Her spoon stopped. "He what?" "Yeah," Daniels said, pulling out his phone. "Look." He scrolled and read aloud. "Mr. Daniels, I'm worried Miss Parker didn't see my email. The file was big. Should I resend the link?" A tiny crack formed in her confidence. I don't see anything in my inbox," she insisted, but her voice lost a bit of its edge. "Maybe he sent it wrong." "Did you check your spam folder?" he asked gently. "These platforms can be weird with links." She sighed and begrudgingly opened her laptop, clicking through. When she clicked spam, her stomach dropped. There it was. Unread. Unopened. Final project submission. Search and Rescue Prototype. She clicked. The link loaded a video. On screen, there was Eli in a simple hoodie, standing beside a small device on a workbench. "Hi, my name is Eli Robinson," he said in the recording, voice steady but nervous. "This is my design for a low-cost search and rescue locator." As he explained how it worked, how it could help rescuers find people trapped under rubble, Ms. Parker felt the room tilt. The door to the lounge was open, and the TV in the corner suddenly switched to a news channel as another teacher grabbed the remote. "And next," the anchor said, "we highlight an extraordinary student inventor, Eli Robinson, whose project has just been selected for our National Youth Innovations feature." The teachers turned toward the screen. On national TV, Eli appeared. The same hoodie, the same prototype, the same calm eyes, but now framed by bright studio lights and a banner at the bottom. "Teen innovator designs life-saving search device." Reporters praised his creativity. A panel of engineers nodded in admiration. Clips of his demonstration played, showing how the device listened, scanned, and sent alerts. In the lounge, no one spoke. Ms. Parker's grip tightened around her coffee cup until she realized her hand was shaking. "He's one of my students," she whispered. Mr. Daniels looked at her, then back at the screen. "Is he?" asked quietly. After the segment, the principal walked in, excited. "Did you all see that? One of our own students on national TV. I just got off the phone with the network. They want to do a follow-up here at the school. We're planning an assembly." Ms. Parker's voice was thin. "Principal Herrera, I suspended him this morning for not turning in his project." The room went still. Herrera's smile faded. "You what?" "I thought he was lying," she said, words tumbling out now. I didn't see the email. I thought he was making excuses, and he tried to explain, but You didn't check, Mr. Daniels finished softly. Later that afternoon, Eli returned to the building with his grandmother by his side. Cameras trailed behind them as the news crew filmed B-roll for the follow-up segment. Students clustered in the hallways, whispering, "That's him. He was on TV." I knew he was smart, but this is next level. The principal greeted them warmly. "Eli, your work is amazing. We're so proud of you." His grandmother smiled, lines of pride etching her face. "Thank you, sir. He's been tinkering with things since he could walk. Always quiet, but always thinking." As they spoke, Ms. Parker stood at the end of the hallway, watching. Her throat felt tight. Her feet felt heavy. But eventually, she walked forward. "Eli," she said, voice softer than he'd ever heard it. He turned. "Ms. Parker." She took a breath. "I saw your project, the email, the broadcast, and I saw what I did today." Her eyes glistened, but she held herself together. "I judged you before I listened to you. I decided your silence meant you didn't care. I was wrong." Students around them watched, phones lowered for once. "I'm so sorry," she continued, "not just for suspending you, for making you feel small when you were doing something extraordinary. That was my failure, not yours." Eli looked at her for a long moment. He could have embarrassed her. He could have snapped back. He could have used this moment to hurt her the way she hurt him. He didn't. He didn't raise his voice. He raised the truth. "I just wanted you to see me," he said quietly, not just as the quiet kid in the back, just as someone trying. Her shoulders dropped. "I see you now," she whispered. "I hope one day you'll let me earn back your trust." He nodded once. "Maybe," he said, "but I hope you'll see other students sooner than you saw me." That line landed heavier than any punishment. The next week, the school held an assembly. Eli stood on stage, explaining his device to hundreds of students, teachers, and district officials. Cameras flashed. Applause roared. The world saw him as a young innovator. Ms. Parker sat in the front row, clapping with everyone else. But inside, the cheering sounded different, not just for Eli's success, but for the lesson she knew she would carry for the rest of her career. Because sometimes, the loudest wake-up call doesn't come from a raised voice. It comes from being forced to see who you chose not to see. Sometimes the quietest students hold the brightest ideas. They don't need us to speak for them. They just need us to listen before we judge. Respect isn't a reward for achievement. It's the starting point for every human interaction. Respect costs nothing, but it can change everything.
If this story touched your heart or made you think about how we treat each other, take a moment to subscribe. Your support helps us share more Black justice stories that inspire change, spark awareness, and remind the world what dignity truly looks like. Share and leave a comment. Your voice helps bring these stories to life and keeps the message alive. Your voice matters here,